We are back, everybody. Welcome back to Digging for Dollars. It was a nice 1 week hiatus while I was in Beaver Creek for the Precious Metals Conference. How was it holding down the fort, Matt?
Sadly, I was holding down the fort because I had a torn hamstring. I would have loved to have been there. I heard it was one of the better shows in a little while.
It was. Sentiment was obviously off the charts, but people were very much behaved, which was the opposite from the last couple of years we were there. I think people were drinking away their sorrows and trying to find ways to cope with the market. But now that the markets are rolling a little bit, people were there to work, so not as much shenanigans.
Really? That's pretty interesting. I feel like, I guess that's you drink to celebrate or drink to forget, but this is the middle. I don't know what that is, but
Maybe, yeah, that's a good point. Maybe people don't know where it's going, but for those who don't know, the Beaver Creek Precious Metals Conference is held every year in Beaver Creek, Colorado, and it's a very exclusive event. I would say the best mining conference there is because it's more exclusive, invite only, or you have to qualify, and only a handful of companies make it down, and the rest of the people are made up of investors, executives, technical teams, and a lot of deals get done. A lot of deals are pitched, and a lot of people meet, reacquaint with old friends, and meet new people, and a lot of good deals get done there.
I've seen a lot of like follow up both on social media, guys that have big followings in mining, and also there's through the sell side, like the desks who are there, whether it was Ventum or Haywood or Canaccord, just shooting out notes saying like, here are our picks and here's what we're here. Everyone seems to be pretty excited about what was going on, so that's a nice thing. Lots of positivity. So what got people talking? What were you seeing on your end this time?
A lot of big news, and I think the larger companies don't necessarily time it with the precious metals, the Beaver Creek one, but they have the big Denver Gold Show that happens afterwards where the larger companies congregate, and maybe that's why we saw the big tech and Anglo announcement. What other ones were there? We saw the Hemlo one was a really big talking point by the smoke pit and stuff, and that's a crazy deal in that I was talking to one analyst who covers royalties, and he's saying that the big winner out of all of that, if it does happen to go through, is Silver Wheaton and their big $400 million stream, and essentially it's just the operators of Hemlo or who are going to run the deal are just betting on gold to go up because the IRR apparently on the stream is over 25%, and if they miss a payment, they get the asset. So they're the big winners apparently.
Wow, bull market move. $1 billion for that coffee, right? The coffee project out of Newmont, they're raising 50 million.
Yeah, and I think Gold Corp acquired it for like 500 million.
500 or something. Yeah, that's right. It was like 2015 or whatever when they acquired it, right?
And so
So I guess what happens, I guess the question is like, does it reset? So the Yukon, lots of stuff going on, obviously Snowline, White Gold, things like that. But does it reset the value? So Hemlo is a hard one because it's so in the middle of its own Hemlo-ness, right? Right. So it's hard to make comps for that. But in this one, right, coffee comes out 3 million ounces, 1.5 grams. Does that set up, like for 150 million, there's I think a 50, 60, 70 million dollar book. I'm sure there's hundreds of millions of dollars of orders. And, with Discovery, when they took on Newmont's assets, like Discovery did it at $1, and now it's what, 450, right? Like it's a big company now. So does it reset value for all the other juniors, or do you assume they're pricing it to work and then it rips and that's how you value the other juniors, right?
yeah, it's weird because we saw Orla acquire Musselwhite as well, and they popped on the news. And maybe it's because when it's not hidden under a larger portfolio of assets, there can be more money and time dedicated to throttling the production profile or finding more gold.
Yeah, because maybe it's not a tier one asset. I mean, like I think of the copper space, right, where like you have BHP running around buying Filo, right? But like lots of other copper projects work, and there are lots of other copper companies that work, right? Foran, it's $1.5 billion company. It's not going to be a BHP asset, right? It's not big enough. So maybe gold has its time because gold is working so well. And I know one of the big themes that I'm seeing from everyone is that people are trying to take advantage of this cycle, right? Like trying to. So what happens so many times is that you have gold rips, and then all these things get discovered or found, but then inflation catches up, right? Because costs jump. And so what you thought was going to make a lot of money doesn't, because the costs go up with it, right? So, and we always underestimate. We talked about PEAs before, where PEAs are plus or minus 50%, and the capex is basically always lower than it really was. And so, maybe these things, because they're more advanced, like they're things that you can actually take advantage of, and a mid-tier or a junior is what you need because they can explore and push it forward faster. And so that maybe it's not such a negative. It's actually a pretty big positive for the space that you're seeing this stuff happen.
But what is the exploration upside on Hemlo?
That it keeps going to the center of the earth, I guess. Right? Like anything, all these.
Everyone's always tried to find something around, and they just haven't been successful.
Yeah, it's depth. I think it's that you got to keep going down, right?
The other big deal was the Elemental merger with EMX, the real.
Yeah, what is that? I don't really understand what happened here. What happened?
Yeah, so what happened was apparently La Mancha had, like, and this is a couple of months ago, and how Tether got involved, which is, completely cool, but kind of scratching my head on seeing how everything works. But
The stable coin Tether, right? Just to clarify, like just like USDC, like the USDT Tether, like Bitcoin Tether.
they became involved with Elemental Altus when La Mancha was looking to sell their block, and they wanted to move quickly into the space, so they acquired a big chunk of that. And then Elemental merged with EMX, and they needed a little bit of cash. And because Tether is backed by US Treasuries, which are spitting out $6 billion a year, they essentially have like an unending pool of money to fund these royalty acquisitions now. They want to stay below the 50% mark, so they'll always maintain their position, and they'll be the lead in any financing moving forward. But they're a great new pot of capital, and kind of opens up the door to a brand new pool of, I guess, generalist investors or people who have made money in the crypto space and know what they're doing. So that's a very interesting, entrant into our space, and hopefully not the first, and hopefully it opens the door for more money coming in.
That is a very interesting entrance. I didn't think about the interest rate that they were getting on treasuries because it is backed. So you have this pool of capital in Tether. What's the $100 billion? Tether always had an issue with it, I think, as I remember, because it wasn't a one-to-one dollar, right? So it was like a reserve bank, but they were stretching it. So they had whatever 100 billion Tether out, but only 10 billion to back it. I don't know the actual number. I remember that was a thing versus the other stablecoin USDC, but maybe that's not the same thing anymore. But using that interest rate to fund things that have cash flow is that is a pretty interesting step. I know that crypto, obviously, the biggest issue in bringing crypto into the securities space, right? Like buying stocks with crypto, is that the flow of capital, the KYCs and everything get very difficult, right? So I know that stablecoins are treated as cash now by most banks, though. So, it'd be an interesting thing if you opened up a crypto deposit, just the capacity to take Tether or USDC as payment for shares instead of having to convert it to dollars and back into the dollar ecosystem would be pretty interesting.
And now that they're buying physical as well, so they'll probably help gold prices, which are, rocking and rolling right now. On the actual company front, who's hot? I'm happy to say a couple of the deals that we've talked about before. Amex, and Victor was all over the place down there with Wanda, and it seems like everyone wanted his ear and listening to
We haven't talked about what they put out, have we? We've missed that week.
the updated PEA.
Man, that project is so good. 70% IRR, a billion NAV at 2,500 gold. Hold on. It's so fun at spot because they're going to toll mill. So it's 150 million capex. when you take it at spot, which makes sense because they can get this going quickly because it's only a couple years. There's a 2 billion NAV and 111% IRR and a 0.3 year payback. So with 140 million shares and a 250 stock today, they have a 350 million market cap with 30 million in cash, meaning it's trading at a 0.17 of spot NAV.
What's on the docket is just to buy and hold for now as they go through the motions.
Buy, wait till it gets taken out for multiples. It's such a dual. It's the word would be doability. It's such a doable project, right? It works.
Another name, which is in our portfolio and a good friend of ours, Kelly's Borealis, was getting a lot of eyeballs down there and a lot of chatter. When you ask people what's on their radar, a lot of the times, more than 50% of the times, they like Borealis and they have a lot of fun news on the docket. I think first pour this month, and what was the Sandman, an updated PEA?
Yeah, the big thing, small production always hard, takes a little time, right? So you got to have patience, which is why you really got to trust your team and their shareholders, right? I think you got millions of dollars of warrants. Actually, he probably has $15+ million right now. Man, I watched an interview he did with Resource Talks or something. I forget what it was called. And we just did one, and it was 30 minutes. There's no news in Borealis, right? Kelly hasn't. It takes delays, right? So there's not a lot of news. But man, talking about the things that are coming for 100 million, this Sandman project, which they bought at current gold price again, just for context, at current gold price, $600 million NAV, almost 300% IRR, and it pays back in 3 months. And it's a 30 million capex, and they just take it to Borealis.
And that was through their acquisition, right?
That's right. So that's only that project. Borealis, they'll drill, they have production, there's cash flow. I know I saw a good note from Calvin over Eventum. They're like, look, it's going to be 60,000 plus ounces a year. You've got pretty good free cash flow coming out of that with low costs and permitted mine. And that's another one that can take advantage of gold prices today without needing years and years and years of permitting and production development to get there, right? So like that's something that you can do now.
So it's fun because it's one of the stories where I personally have never seen where a bootstrapped operation or a company that wanted to bootstrap any sort of exploration has actually worked. However, I think, is it 60,000 ounces from their stock? Okay.
That's what if you put Sandman. Yeah, because the Borealis mine, he's hoping to do 20,000 ounces a year of oxide in 2026. Sandman is 40,000 or so. And the reason Sandman works, these are small things, right? But the reason it works is because you're basically digging it and trucking it, and you're taking it to the permitted. So it was built as a toll milling PEA. So he's redoing the PEA. And what will likely happen is the capex assumption of 30 will be 50 to 60. And the NAV will go down from 575 to 500. And the IRR will go from 280 at spot to 250. And the payback might go to 5 months. It's the synergy of it is really great. You see people talking a lot about Lahontan again, right? These things that if you can build them today, they're great. The hard part is access to capital. The hard part is the permits, right? So the one thing that Borealis works for small things is that not only do you have a super supportive shareholders, you saw Eric Sprott put another $1.5 million in at 75-cent warrants. We vested warrants, like we own a big chunk of this as well. And you see that you have big shareholders who can write big checks to push this along. But if you have cash flow to fund, a portion of the Sandman development cost, and it's only 60 million, and you do a debt equity split of 60-40, it's a thing that could happen tomorrow, right? Like not actually tomorrow, but like it's one of those things that can happen quickly and take advantage of this current environment, this cycle, not next cycle, right? Not like Cote Lake and Trelawney where you're like, okay, it's found and done in 2012 and it's in production in 2025 when you have completely new economics, right? So exciting stuff.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the benefits of acquiring infrastructure ready. Well, they kept it on care and maintenance, or no, they were still working the leach pads when he acquired it. So small production there, but everything was kept hot. So when he was able to acquire these new projects, it was just essentially plug and play at that point. So it's not. It is a bootstrap, but it's not one of those where they have to build it from scrap, right? All of the infrastructure was there for him.
It's there. They'll have to expand. They'll have to do things. They're contract mining most of it, but it'll be interesting to see. Again, lots of bumps and bruises along the way, right? Like, Kelly was doing Amex before. Like, this is a whole different thing. So in venture, you got to give. If something's worth $500 million, it can't just be overnight, right? Like, they only listed a year ago. We, myself included, like our patience sometimes, our time horizon needs to be a little bit longer, and it's a $100 million company. It's doing a really good job, and yeah, it's exciting to see what comes in the next 6 to 12 months.
Lastly, and I can name a group here because they have a bunch of companies under their umbrella, but Justra's Fiore group was all over the place. He had a lot of people working very, very hard in getting their stories out, backed by either his group or himself personally. I think we're in a couple of these, little or a lot, but the Selkirk Copper company is, I believe, listed, if not in the process of listing, and that's the old Minto mine. Remember that? And Minto did not shut down, I believe, because of low prices. I just don't think it was run as efficiently as it should be, and I think that was the cause of why that the old company folded. But I think he's taken over. Obviously he did a great job with Westlake Red Gold and showing that they can take over these orphaned assets and run them properly. Pacific Ridge on the exploration side, Next Gold Mining, which has been getting a lot of buzz, and
Yeah, the Nova Scotia thing got a permit. That asset's great. I never thought that was going to get permitted. I'll put my hand up as being like, no chance ever. And it did.
so he obviously has the operational or access to the operational expertise to move these forward. And he's got he's spitting out companies left and right now.
Yeah, it's wild. And I think that, that they definitely, things get marketed. Obviously he's a name that gets thrown around a lot. I mean, we own a couple of these things, but definitely when he raises big money, like the nickel thing that Morgan's doing with him in Botswana. And I mean, I think that I've come to appreciate that when they really put their might behind it and they put real money in, like West Red Lake Gold played that first round, and it's just like so much capital they have command over, that the assets are good, but like you get to balance off the risk a little bit when you're there, right? So it's like, the money's going to be raised. So definitely credit to those guys with all these things coming out.
Is Copper Giant one of theirs as well?
Copper Giant is one. I still don't understand why that doesn't go higher, but we own that. It's just endless copper moly down there in Colombia. There's issues. I think there's environmental pieces, and they just raised a bunch of money, and yeah, it's strange. It's a very large blob of copper on the side of a mountain. So hopefully that starts to move. That's again, I think that like those big money ones, right, that they really throw into seem to work really well to push forward. That one's a little bit earlier, right? So they got to push that a little bit. It'll be a little longer term.
Okay. So our guest today, another fun one, and he was actually at Beaver Creek as well, so we can kind of shoot the shit on what he saw and what he's excited for. Simon Catt is dialing in from Italy, I believe. He's the director of Arlington Group Asset Management. Over 30 years of experience in iBanking and in the capital markets. Prior to this, he was the founder of GMP Securities Europe in 2007. He's been involved with originating over $3 billion in deals. So he's a heavy hitter. He's an investor, and we're very happy to have him on the show today.
This is glorious. Simon, it must be a bull market. What is going on?
I was on this call last night, and somebody said, "Are you the silver guy?" And I'm the silver guy. Silver 100, baby. Let's roll.
So what are we buying? What are we buying in silver?
Well, do you want me to give you the pitch? You ready?
Oh, yeah, sure. We could run right into. Hold on, I got a question first before you go into this. You've been 30 years done all. Cejay gave you that you weren't here for it. You got this huge intro of like 30 years, billions of dollars raised, started GMP Europe. All right, so what before we jump into the deal, what for us novices? I started in 2009, so did Cejay, right off the bounce of the financial crisis. So this is a new thing. It's the second bull. What's this like relative to, what should we be buying silver for long term, or should we be flipping it in 6 months? Is basically the question here.
So let me just go back in time. I'm guessing before you were born. So I lost my first fortune in the 1987 crash. Do you remember that one?
Oh yeah, yeah. 2 years old. I was in good shape there, man. I was throwing dollars around.
I was 4, so I still remember.
Good, good. Yeah. So I'd worked the summer of that year, 1987, in my parents' furniture business and saved up a bit of money. And my grandpa had given me some money because I'd taken an interest in the stock market and I'd actually done work experience at a local stockbroking firm in Perth. So I had $5,000 that my grandpa had given me. I'd saved up my own from cleaning the pool and doing a bit of dirty jobs around Mum and Dad's furniture factory, and I invested it all into the market. And I read all the broker research and it said, ABC company, well, it's trading at 40 cents. You've got a price target of 80. I said, that sounds like free money. And like, I'm buying it for 40 and it's worth 80. I'll do that every day of the week. And of course, I bought the most speculative stuff I could find because that had the biggest target price. I'm a West Australian after all. And there was a company in Perth then, it was the number one tech stock of the era called Cejay Technologies. And there was this promoter called Ralph Cejay, and he had this orbital engine, and the idea was it would replace all of the internal combustion engines in the world because it was a more efficient version. Guess what? It didn't actually turn out that way. But Sarich went from a pre-crash share price of 25 to about $1 after the crash, and that was what I had most of my savings in. So, yeah, I've lost a few fortunes, and I'm still here to tell the story.
All right. So, but those fortunes, that cycle of it going up and down, like, does this one feel like it should last a little bit of time? If going from 1987 on, right? So, I mean, you've had a couple different metals runs over that time. So,
Yeah, no, I've lost a few along the way. I find it easier to make, harder to hang on to, which I think is your question. Like, where are we? Is it time to sell and run away? I don't think so. And here's the reason. Now, we're talking about mining shares here, right? Um, if you look at, I was actually earlier today looking at a chart of the shares of the silver ETF. And we're nowhere near back to where we were in 2021 too, in terms of those units of the SLV ETF. If you look at the Newmont share price, the world's largest gold company, do you know when the Newmont share price peaked? It was 6%, and 3 years ago, in April of 22, it had an $86 share price against roughly $80 today. Newmont then peaked at a PE multiple of 45 times. Today, do you know what the PE multiple of Newmont is today? If we annualize the first half of this year at lower gold prices, it's 15. So 45 to 15, Newmont's been derated by 60 or 70%. So what the equities are discounting are lower gold and silver prices. So that's why I think the answer to your question is no, we're early here. We're early. The generalist dollar hasn't arrived. Otherwise, Newmont would be a much higher PE. It would go back. If I took the 2022 PE, Newmont would be $250 a share, not $80 a share. So I think it's real early. It's just weirdos like us who are long of these things and have been enjoying a good year or two. 2 years ago at Beaver Creek, no one had $1 to rub together. Everybody was like, oh my God, where I can find $1 million to pay my salary? And now it's like it's a party. Like our Mexican gold and silver party, there was nothing to do 2 years ago. Last year we had 25 people, and this year we had 50 people, and everybody knocking on the door. So
I did at Beaver Creek. I was privy to some toppy behavior. We're not there yet, but I saw some big dinner bills being thrown around and some, I guess, extra glasses of wine. But if that's what we're seeing now, what's the party going to be like? And I think everyone's going to be wearing silver shirts in 5 years. And
well, look, obviously we're going to have a correction. I mean, I think we're all seeing financing going past, going, wow, that's a lot of money for a pretty average asset. I think the thing that I've learned is when I go back and analyze my own personal account share trading through the cycle, it's not even the 80-20 rule. It's like the 95-5 rule. If, for example, in silver, if you don't own Coeur d'Alene and Hecla, what the hell? I mean, they are the oldest and the most important US silver producers because they're the oldest. So in the collective United States American silver investor memory, they're the companies they go to first. So you should own those, and then you can take a bit more risk and go down the curve. We're going to get into that here shortly. But I think it's early. We'll obviously have correction along the way, but the big money hasn't arrived yet. You can see that in the valuation of the gold shares.
I think that one thing I got my eyes opened up to a little bit. I did a fair bit of crypto stuff for a few years, like 16 to 19. And I remember going down to my first conference in Manhattan. I'm there and there's like 12 Lamborghinis parked outside of a hotel and everyone's in there with like actual gold Bitcoin chains, right? Wandering around in like velour jumpsuits. And the amount of money that's thrown around in that, it just dwarfs what we do. And we kind of forget that in junior mining and in senior mining, that it's like there's a lot of money in the world. And like tech, we're like, oh, this is so expensive. And it's like billions of dollars for an idea and venture in Silicon Valley. And so like, it's nice that we're seeing capital come in. There's a lot more money now, I think. And so I'm with you. It's early days. Maybe tell us about something early days. I love this deal you're going to talk about. We own it. It's cool. You have powerhouse shareholders, insane results. So give us this downstream pitch on Mithril here, the silver guy.
So I'm not going to give you the pitch on Mithril. I'm going to give you a pitch on another name, which is going to surprise you. Are you ready for it?
No, this isn't our Dignus deal yet, though, right, Simon? Like we're saving like the.
Okay, so we're just talking now.
Yeah, we're just still talking. Yeah, but we're going to get to that because I love that. That's our favorite part of the whole show.
And I love how you're psyched up for it because that's our favorite part of the show.
Okay, cool. So Mithril, look, not by coincidence, but I tend to chat to the CEO regularly. I chatted to John Skeet earlier today, and I asked him the same question. I also asked him, "Hey, John, got any drill results?" So the answer is, yeah, he's got some coming. So since we all spoke about Mithril last Beaver Creek, obviously the shares have gone up a bit. It was 10 or 20 cents. It's now 60 or 70. They've got plenty of money. They've got 20 million Aussie dollars or Canadian dollars of cash. They've got 2 drill rigs going. There's a third one coming at the start of next year. What they think they've got is in the initial Target 1 resource area, 530,000 ounces at 5 grams gold equivalent. They've got 7 grams gold equivalent, 5 gold and the rest is silver. They think they've got 1 million ounces. Currently the resource is 500,000, and that's extending out to the west. So I think we'll see more drill holes come which continue to extend that resource, and they're aiming to get 1 million ounces of gold and silver there. That's actually where they found the first gold and silver on that property in Durango State, Mexico, but it's not their best target. I was there in June. If you look at my cat calls thing, you'll see that it's actually one of the best site visits we all thought we'd ever done, because you get a fixed wing aircraft and then you fly around the place in a chopper to get from hill to hill, mountain to mountain, and then use an ATV as well. So it's extremely mountainous, which explains why the gold and the silver is still there, because it's difficult to get to. Very high grade. And I think to justify a major mining company coming in and buying it, to become a visitor, if you like, or a silver crest, they need to get some more scale. Interestingly, down in the valley, so a kilometre underneath the main resource area, which is called Refugio Soledad, and you go from T1, where the resource is, to T5. Easy to remember, when you fly into London, you go to Heathrow T5. It's a silver-rich area. They call it Target 5 or Apamal. There's a 130-metre tunnel that some old-timers have dug there. And there's like a vein swarm. So when you chat to Colin Jones, their technical guy, he's like, I think this rig's going to be there for a long time. They've only really been drilling it for a month or 6 weeks. We have not yet got the first assays, but the grab samples from the surface were running many thousands of grams silver. And I think we'll get results within a week or two. And I think that's the one the geos like the most when we're there. And then they'll add a third rig on another target they call Target 3 or Constancia. And again, that's bigger than the first resource area. So the roadmap for Mithril the next year is drill out another discovery, another area. There's like dozens of targets. The next one we think, which is going to be silver, not gold rich, is called Target 5. The grab samples again were thousands of grams silver, so that should be decent grade. And there's a third target they'll get onto at the start of next year.
All right. That's great. Thanks for that. I like that story. High grade, not a lot of rock. Seems like it could have a lot there. But now I think CJ and I are both just like, what's the silver deal? What are you pitching? Let's move right into it. Do you want a break here? We can move to CJ's deal first.
I don't mind. I'll go either way, whichever you prefer.
Okay, so why don't I explain it again, because we still have new listeners popping in. And when I was at Beaver Creek, I was a minor celebrity down there. I had 3 people come up to me and say, "We listened to the show." So I was like, "Thank you. Where do you want me to sign?" But so it is working. We are getting people to call us and show us their ideas and stuff. So when we put it together, we wanted to talk about deals. We wanted to see new deals. So it's obviously working. This part of the show with our special guests, we do a portion called Dig This Deal, where we're each going to pitch a company. We have 30 seconds, a minute to do so. The only thing that we can say about them is their market cap, and you can try sell the company any way you want, and the other two the other two participants will decide if they dig it or not, or maybe they need further digging.
You talk whatever you want, Simon. So talk whatever you want, but you have to say the market cap. That's the only thing you have to. You can say whatever you want. You got a minute. Say whatever you want, but you have to say the market cap because so many people talk about stories and deals without a market cap, and so we're just like, let's make sure we have a market cap. That's it.
So why don't I go first to show you the framework of it? And I'm not an expert at it, but I'm pitching 100 right now. Matt approaches this portion of it just to learn more about the deals. I'm in it to win it. Okay, so my deal is in the process of being listed right now. It's raising $3 to $5 million. Let's say when it's all said and done, market cap of around $30 million. It's put together by a fairly prolific group now called the Discovery Group, who has put together a bunch of companies that have done well. They're advancing a high-grade gold project in Colombia. Community agreements are in place, and they've consolidated enough ground where I guess you can truly call it district scale. Infrastructure is already on site, and they're fully funded to drill, even with the ongoing financing. The project has had 72 meters of historic drilling, 11 past producing mines, and a historical resource of 400,000 ounces, over 3 grams per ton. So here's some of the intercepts that they've had in the past, and these are bangers: 325 grams over 2 meters, 500 over a meter, and 177 intersections of gold grades in excess of 5. So it's a very high grade gold project, maybe a little bit skinny, but that's not a huge problem. In that Aris Mining just put out a PEA of the Soto Norte project, which is directly adjacent to them, and they're touting an after-tax NPV of 2.7 billion.
The elevator ride ended, Cejay. The elevator ride is short.
I know, excuse me, I'm pitching money. I'm pretty sure people will, take this elevator ride because they're in it to make a little bit of money, Matt, unlike your deals. Okay, so after they list, they're just going to advance the project and move towards an advanced study, drilling, infill drilling, and, move to that PEA. 30 million market cap.
Now, do you dig it or ditch it? That's the question. Do you dig that deal? You want to buy the deal?
I'm not a buyer. I ditch it.
Oh my God. You wrecked my perfect record. Matt.
I can't say that I'm ditching it because I know this one and I am digging it, and I only because I remember the asset from 2011, and it's Ian. You remember Ian Slater? Simon, you ever come across him?
Yeah, I know Ian. He did uranium in Spain, Barclay. That Ian Slater.
This is, as I think so. Ian Slater, he did coal in Alberta. I remember he did a few things. This asset was called Cejay. Correct me if I'm wrong. This was the old Red Eagle asset in Colombia.
Was it called Ventus Gold? Oh no, Vetus. I think it's a different project. Is Vetus different?
This is Terra Rosa, right? Yeah. All right. Simon ditches it. I'll dig that one. Terra Rosa is going to list. I think the Research Capital guys are doing it, right?
I think so. I think everyone is doing it. I'm being blasted in the email. I'm getting so many emails.
I'm feeling worse about it now. I like Simon's take on it. I'm feeling that. Now I'm feeling terrible about it.
Yeah, I haven't heard of Simon's deal, but I choose Simon's deal.
Hit us. What do you got?
Okay. So my deal is the largest undeveloped silver ore body in mainland America. It's not in Alaska. It's got 15 million ounces of gold as well, plus 400 million ounces of silver. Again, that was 5 million ounces of gold, 400 million ounces of silver. It has a market capitalization today of $350 million US. It's got cash and debt roughly equal at $130 to $40 million of each. The major shareholder is Eric Sprott with 33%. this is important. The second largest shareholder is AMC Entertainment, which you might remember from the silver Reddit squeeze in 2022. They cornerstoned AMC Entertainment. The meme stock came in and cornerstoned as a major shareholder alongside Eric Sprott of this name. They diluted down with subsequent raises, but what that does is it creates a meme memory of retail America. So if there's one share, gentlemen, which is going to be a lightning rod for US retail interests as silver goes to 100, and it is going to 100, it is this company. Fort Knox, gentlemen, is not in Kansas. Fort Knox is in Nevada. This project is in North Nevada. We're going to see a massive resource upgrade, I should say, with a technical study due at the end of the year. It's run by a management team who've done it before. They sold their last company for $850 million to a mid-tier producing company called Oceana. That was at $1,100 gold, so one-sixth the valuation in today's money. What's going to drive this? Well, not only does it have 15 million ounces of gold and 400 million ounces of silver, it has high grade. They drilled a hole in January this year of 21 meters at 2,300 grams silver and half a gram gold at 300 meters depth. There is a drill rig going down. I was on the property on Friday in Nevada. There's a drill rig going down right now, targeting a big geophysical feeder system. We don't know what it will be. It's exploration, but they've got a really smart geologist who's come out of Barrick and Newmont of that Nevada joint venture, and I think he knows what he's talking about. I think we're going to find a lot more silver and gold. That is my...
People love Highcroft, Simon. People love that. That was a good pitch, though, man. I was like, I just got... Denny was just pitching me on. I just, literally last week, because they did the $60 million deal with Eric, and then they had... who were the other guys that came in?
Tribeca, yeah. Yes, that was me. That was me and Tribeca who came in for the other 20.
Got it. So question for you, because we're on it, and I actually am curious on it. So the 15 million ounces, obviously the grade is very, very, very low. But the recent discovery of silver is very, very, very high grade. So is the story... I understand the promotion. I love that. It's awesome. I get that, and I understand that piece. What I didn't really understand is how is it just that is the 15 million ounces of gold something that you would ever really mine, or is it just there's so much smoke here that there's got to be something that's pushing this all to surface, or is it kind of a combo?
So the reason it's still there and hasn't yet been mined, unlike, for example, the Barrick 4 Mile Nevada mine not far away, which Barrick have just committed to as a new mine, is it's refractory and it's low grade. But if you scale it up, the way to think of this is actually not as a gold-silver mine or a silver-gold mine, but as a large copper ore body. If this was copper, the recovered copper would be 0.5% copper, which, as you know, is the average grade of a new copper mine. It's going to be a gigantic hole in the ground. It's 3 miles long. It's a mile wide. It's the size of Bingham Canyon. It's got a strip ratio of 2-to-1. It is refractory, but it does float. Recoveries are 89 for the gold and 92 for the silver. And then you have to either roast it or you have to biox it, one or the other. This company is a small company. It's probably not going to mine the scale that this requires. Think of this as a big copper ore body, or even Penasquito, the big Newmont mine down in Mexico. What's the high grade means that a smaller company could mine the high grade. We're talking 300 to 500 grams a ton, which is a typical Mexican underground vein silver mine, but it's really early days in terms of the discovery. They've only got 9 holes into this, and they've got a new structural theory of where to find the high grade. That's what they're drilling now. So, yeah, I think the big project is running for a big company, but this company and other smaller companies could mine the high grade, but it's early days in terms of the discovery of the high grade.
Cool. I didn't realize Tribeca was you. That's so fun. I see the silver now. I get it. I get it even more. I understand you are the silver guy. That's such a hype deal right now. All right, well, that's fun. That's a fun one. That's pretty cool. All right, well, I'm going to do something completely different here. We're going to see how this one goes, right? All right, so I have 200 million shares out. I have a 70 million market cap, and I only have $4 million of cash. I don't have AMC as a shareholder. I'm an hour outside of Reno. I got 1.5 million ounces of gold at 1.5 grams in an open pit with a strip ratio of 4.7 to 1. At $2,500 gold, though, my PEA at a 10% discount rate. Yeah, I said 10. No one uses 10 anymore. It's 10. Post-tax NPV of $618 million. IRR 57%. An hour from Reno. The kicker of this is that in this pit, so much of it has not been drilled and is wide open that most likely with the drills that are in the ground right now, the strip gets cut in half, in which case this is probably $1 billion project in the Walker Lake Trend, an hour outside of the Peppermill Casino in Reno. No issue with recovery. likely $1 billion, $70 million cap, 70 million market cap. Drill's going. Last raise at 20. Stock is 35 cents. Dig it, ditch it.
What's the market cap, Matt?
Some 70 million market cap, 30 million tons at a gram and a half, open pit, most weird looking rock ever.
So I'm going to say dig it, and my guess is it's Scorpio.
No, good one. Not Scorpio. Getchell Gold. It's been around for a little bit. We just bought it, and I was just chatting with the guy. It's such weird. Like they've hit like 10 meters of like 20 grams. Like it's really, but then the rock doesn't change. It's just this muck. It's like this weird rock with no issues with recoveries. It's just this big pit of broken gold. It's like very confusing. It's just, but the project is really interesting. The economics are bonkers, and not a ton of cash in the bank right now, but I think that's going to be one that obviously I like this deal on it. They're drilling right now to fill in the gaps. Like the pit is like, there's just holes in the pit model that like, there's just never been a drill hole that drills into it. And there's gold on top of it. So the theory is it's just in the pit shell that you're just going to fill it in. So,
so they're infilling to advance to PFS.
They're infilling and they're drilling a depth to try and extend it. They had like 200 meters of a gram or 100 meters of a gram underneath the pit, and it's lots of gold around. Scorpio though also doing a great job. That Eric and BD came in, and that's been a good one. That's similar kind of market cap, similar kind of size right now.
I'm gonna dig it because I follow the smart money like Simon. So I'm in it with you.
I never get people to dig my deal, so this is a big moment for me. Simon, man, that was so great. Thank you very much. Congrats on Highcroft and interested in Mithril, and thanks for taking the time, man. I'm glad the Beaver Creek went well, and hopefully we're right about this bull continuing for a little bit. We tend to agree as well.
Good. Well, we're all in the same echo chamber here. Well, obviously, it won't be a straight line up, but look, early days in terms of the multi-year view. Did you know that in the 1970s, gold was the top performing asset class for 6 out of that decade of the 70s, 6 years? It was also bottom for 2 years, but so we've now had 2 years of this gold bull market in this decade. I think we've got plenty more good years. They won't all be good years, but I think we've got a long way ahead.
I like that. Thanks a lot, man. This was great.
Before we let you go, you mentioned your podcast. Is that still ongoing?
Yeah. I mean, I don't do it as regularly as you guys do. You guys do great work. I do it whenever I kind of get around to it. I was going to do one actually with Diane and Eric. Diane, who runs Highcroft, and Eric Sprott, in the next couple of weeks. I haven't scheduled that yet. I'm also doing one on Monday, which I think is going to be absolutely fascinating. I've got a conference here at my house in Italy on sort of over the weekend and Monday. And so it's called The Future of Money. And I've got one of the Bitcoin founders, and I've got one of the Tether guys. You might have seen one of the Tether guys was at Beaver Creek. They put $200 million into Elemental, Altus, and Amex, the royalty companies. But what's really interesting as precious metal guys is they've got this Tether Gold, which has bought $9 billion at last count of gold, and they say that their limitation is getting the physical to put into the vault in Switzerland. So the Chinese are the number one buyer. These guys are the number two buyer of gold. Physical is the constraint, but where they take digital gold, I think is really interesting. It's an access product for retail investors by tokenizing it. So I think that's an interesting question. What is the future of money? It's clearly not fiat currency. Is it Bitcoin? Is it some hybrid like Tether Gold? Is it something else? We'll talk about that on Monday. That's one of my next calls.
Very cool. So we'll throw in the link for you, and when it comes out, very excited to listen to what these guys say about it.
And are you okay with the output from today's discussion if I send that, put that on my little thing and send it to Highcroft and stuff?
Feel free to. Please do. The more people that see it, the better, eh?
Thanks, gentlemen. Happy to do this anytime, and nice talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for making time. We know it's late over there, so appreciate it.
Not at all. Last night I was talking to US retail investors at 1 a.m. local. That was with Diane from Highcroft, so no drama.
Okay, very cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. Take it easy.
Bye.
He was probably the best dressed guest we've ever had, and I don't think we're ever going to have someone like that again.
I hope we get a lot more of that. Again, I was saying that like when you go down to these crypto conferences or you do tech, and everyone has their venture hoodie and sneaker outfit, and I think in mining we just have this like old suit thing going still, and no one is that excited. That's great, man, to see the life. And I remember when the Patriot Metals guy, right? When he was down at BMO 2 years ago, he was wearing like this white, pegmatite jumpsuit and stuff. Like we need more life in this space. Like it's a lot of fun. Like you're building these assets that could be worth billions of dollars, and we just don't like, we were like, yeah, whatever, because we've just been so killed, and so no one believes the numbers. Like we're talking about things that are worth, that you have these billions of dollars there that could be worth more, and it's like worth 50 million because just you don't have the characters and you don't have the amp. And so when he's pitching Highcroft, I know Denny was doing the same thing with AMC. It's like you get some life into these things, right? And I hope that hopefully we can bring a little bit of like light on things. That's hopefully the idea here. But yeah, you need more of that.
Yeah. Well, last little comment. I think we did with San Lorenzo, because I had a handful of people come up to me at Beaver Creek, with their comments, asking me what what was Chris's dealio. But it made them reach out to you, and in the end, you told me that you love the asset. So
I'm looking at my notes right now. It's, and Al's great. I knew him actually from my Pine Tree days when he was selling an oil company. He sold a Novus or this. Anyway, he's the nicest guy. Their data sets are not very advanced, and they don't have super fun leapfrog models that you're taking around. But man, that's a 17 by 12 kilometer, most likely a giant mineral system beside a giant porphyry. It's a cool asset.
So, that was really cool that they reached out afterwards and, eased any of the qualms that you had on the deal. And, we like it more. Maybe it warrants a little bit more digging, but you came out of it and said that it's the real deal. So, it's not necessarily a bad thing when we talk about the cons, because it leaves.
No, it's great. It's open debate, right? That's the whole point. If it was all baked in already, we're wrong all the time. If it's all baked in, then they'd be worth $1 billion already, right? So it's a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun. Hopefully you're having a lot of fun. I think that it's great. So I've learned so much about deal. We've had a whole bunch of new deals.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thanks, man. I'll see you next week.
Thanks, Cejay.
Okay, bye-bye.